Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley and welcome back to another video. Today we are taking a look at this article that is not necessarily giving us new information, but rather confirming what we have all known. As we've discussed in a couple of recent videos, the Sussexes have continued to lose staff at an alarming rate. And as I said in that video, people don't like leaving their job. If they like their job, they'll stay, even if they're not getting paid as much as they need to be or deserve to be, or they're working a little bit harder than they think they should. If they like their boss and it's a good place to work, a good environment, and they enjoy it, they're gonna stay. So the fact that so many people are leaving is indicative of a bigger problem involving workplace culture and environment, which stems from the top, from Harry and Meghan themselves. Because if it was just about budget and people were simply not getting paid enough, but they still absolutely loved their job and loved their bosses, these people would be staying, even if they weren't getting paid quite as much as they deserved. Even if it wasn't a convenient location, even if all these other excuses, they still wouldn't have this much staff leaving this frequently, so long as the people were happy there. So this high turnover that Meghan and Harry have seen amongst their staff is very much in the category of workplace environment. It is not just about money or place, location, time, hours. It's not just that, because that alone will not cause this many people to quit. Now, just since they've left the royal family and set up Archewell and their own little workplace stuff in California, they've had 18 top-level staffers quit. This does not include, like, say, regular house staff, like maybe a gardener or maids or people who clean their house, like private staff, and it doesn't include lower level staff like assistants or secretaries, people like that who are responsible for maybe like answering phones and filing paperwork or making copies of things. Those types of low level people are not publicized when they quit. This is high level people who are more known names in the business world, people who have a good track record for their jobs and who are more high profile. 18 of them have left, and those are big deals. This also doesn't include people who left their household when they were with the royal family, this Sussex household that they set up. This number does not include those people either. This is just since they left the royal family, and only the higher level staff is 18 people leaving. That's a lot. Let's take a look at this article. Meghan Markle is a dictator who terrifies staff, has reduced grown men to tears. A bombshell new report alleges that the Duchess of Sussex terrifies her staff, with one source describing her as a dictator in high heels who has reduced grown men to tears. Exactly no one is surprised by this. Everyone is terrified of Meghan, a source close to the couple alleged in the article, which examined high turnover among the Sussexes' staff. She belittles people. She doesn't take advice. They're both poor decision makers. They change their minds frequently. Harry is a very, very charming person, no airs at all, but he's very much an enabler, and she's just terrible. She's absolutely relentless, another insider told the outlet. She marches around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders. Harry and Meghan have had a high staff turnover throughout the years. Her top aide and private secretary departed in 2021, and last month, the couple's chief of staff resigned after just 3 months on the job. The Archetypes podcast host is no stranger to being criticized for her behavior toward employees. In 2018, Buckingham Palace investigated Markle for her treatment of 2 royal aides, which was labeled as bullying behavior. The palace never released their findings, but Markle called the claims a calculated smear campaign. The report comes on the heels of a prominent royal expert claiming that the former actress is regretful over the way her dramatic exit from the royal family went down 4 years ago. Weren't received in the way she had expected, and several of her comments have backfired. She and Prince Harry deeply regret the royal racist controversy. Meghan wanted the takeaway from their Oprah interview to be about her mental health, and I think Meghan regretted sitting down with the cut because she provided endless commentary for her critics. So this had multiple people who had insight into working for the couple come forward to discuss things on the basis of anonymity. And told people what they kind of already assumed, that these two are very difficult to work with. And Harry, despite being perhaps charming at first glance, has clearly got a lot of issues when it comes to his anger and rage, his knee-jerk press reactions, and trying to have these sorts of clapbacks to people or making other people look bad when he feels slighted, like he did when he came over for the Invictus anniversary. He tried to say that King Charles didn't have time to see him, when in reality, King Charles offered Harry a place to stay next door to him so that they could get together and see one another. And Harry rejected it and then turned around and tried to spin lies in the media because he was annoyed about something, who knows what. So clearly both of them have issues with behaving in an adult and mature manner, but it's clear that Meghan Markle has exhibited a lot of really controlling behavior when it comes to workplace dynamics ever since she joined the royal family, and this is something that people have observed. Even in videos past, we've discussed how Harry didn't really used to put out statements to the media until he met Meghan. She forced him, basically, to announce that they were dating and the media needed to leave Meghan alone or else she would leave him, is what she told him. And so began his statements to the media at that moment. Before that, nobody can really remember a time that Harry himself came out and made a statement that was emotionally charged in the way that he had since he got with Meghan. And ever since he's been with Meghan, he's been doing this. And a lot of people have speculated that it's really Meghan Markle behind the scenes kind of encouraging this or wanting these sorts of statements to be put out. And this just confirms that. Meghan is the real driving force behind a lot of this discord, and because she really wants to control her image and how things are done and thinks that she knows the right way to go about things, she interferes with people's work. And high-profile career professionals do not want to be told how to do something by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, which is clearly Meghan. There's been so many times that she has put out a statement or just said things that were so ill thought out from a PR perspective. She created tons of problems for herself, and she clearly doesn't have that great of a business sense. Just look at American Riviera, Orchard Montecito, or whatever it'll end up being called. It's been an absolute disaster of a launch, if you can even call it that, all because Meghan is not very literate when it comes to business and press relations. But she thinks she is. And that's just what toxic people tend to do. But what do you think about this article and these poor employees who have been terrified by her? I really do sympathize with them because starting a new job is challenging and oftentimes expensive for the person. They have a gap in their pay and a disruption to their lives and routine, and it can be really, really taxing changing jobs. So I have a lot of sympathy for these people who have been through it, but this sort of a reputation is really, really bad and toxic, especially in a place like Hollywood where word gets around and people do love to gossip regardless of what they say. Things spread like wildfire, and word of mouth is so important in all business, but it's especially important in a place like Hollywood or Montecito, amongst all those more wealthy, more seasoned Hollywood players. Even though Ellen's show is over, even though Oprah is not as popular as she once was, these people know people. They've been in the community for a long time, and they have respect for their business sense, for what they've accomplished, for what they were able to do, and the success that they had achieved. And so having a reputation as being very, very difficult, really unpleasant to work with, not listening to anybody, changing your mind all of the time, that's a horrible reputation to have, particularly for Harry and Meghan. This means that it's going to be even more challenging for them to find staff, to find people to work with, to have people collaborate. People aren't even going to want to collaborate with them on a project. People aren't even going to want to invite them to the table to work on anything together because of this reputation. And furthermore, it's going to hinder any future opportunities for deals such as Netflix, Spotify, book deals. Like, they're just not going to happen. Setting aside the content being horrible, setting that aside, their work ethic being bad, having a reputation as being difficult to work with is going to make it all the more difficult for them going forward. So this is a really ominous sign, big picture, It's not just about staff, it's about prospects too. And this is just one of those situations where the public believes it because the pattern has been so obvious for so long. There's no more opportunity for Harry and Meghan to turn around and say, smear campaign. Not really, because it's clear. Proof is in the pudding at this point. And the public is seeing this as them reaping what they sow. Nobody's going to have any sympathy for Harry and Meghan having staff talk about them in the media. Harry and Meghan have talked about everybody in the media at this point, so they really have dug themselves into a hole, and they do need to put that shovel down eventually. But what do you think about this article? I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. And now it is time for question of the day. Have you noticed that the Meg used to match her outfit to the stage or set she's on? Is that a thing celebrities do, or just her being weird as usual? Well, typically you don't necessarily want to match the stage because then you kind of blend in. It's a little bit weird if you match the stage. So of your two options, I would go with her being weird as usual. You really want to find a way to maybe complement the stage, or you would rather want to stand out because you want to pop against the background. You don't want to clash with it, and you don't want to blend in with it because that ends up looking not so great either. So yeah, it is super bizarre, and there have been a lot of examples of it, so many that it is obviously not a coincidence, as with most things. Leave your theory on that in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.